April, will I be able to share my screen as well, or?
Yeah, I'll stop it as soon as I get to your part,
Okay.
and we should be all set. All right, welcome everyone. This is April Cox, for those that don't know me. Today we have a special guest for our Self-Publishing Made Simple program. This is our author work group. For those of you who are on the line, could you please mute yourself, especially if you've got background noise and stuff going on there. Actually, why don't I just mute all, and then I'll unmute you as we need to. There we go. Let's find Jay. There we go. There we go. Okay, so today we're going to cover knowing your numbers with Jay Miletsky as our special guest speaker. This is really exciting. He has been such a blessing to this group and a frequent visitor. Let me just quickly go over some of the agenda items. So we just went through a little 5-minute welcome. Jay's going to present for about 40 minutes, and then we'll have some Q&A. And afterwards, for anybody that after the event is done with Jay, if anyone wants to hang out, I usually stay here for anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes. And we kind of do just an author hangout or ask me anything session for those that need help within the work group. Or if you're a visitor, you're more than welcome to hang out with me as well. I just have a couple of housekeeping things for our author work group and others that might be interested. I'm really sad to say that the current author work group is going to be ending next week. So I wanted to let you know that I have chosen a new start date for the next author work group, which is August 18th. Live sessions will be held, oops, this should say Tuesdays. Tuesdays, live sessions, and Thursday, drop-in hours. So there's a lot of information about the author work group. You can visit my website /author-workgroup, and you can see the URL there. I'll also post it in the group chat later. For anybody that is an alumni of the author work group, there's a 50% discount code for anyone that wants to keep hanging out with me and continue to work on their book or the next book, whatever you want to do. So this coming week, we have a drop-in session on Tuesday, and I will be here from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. That is our regular time for our current work group. But if anybody here wants to invite others, I did post that on my website, and it is open for other new and aspiring authors that want to join in and just kind of experience what one of these drop-in sessions is like. And then our final meeting for the group is Thursday. So if anyone has any questions or issues, you can feel free to hang out with me afterwards, and I've also posted my email address here. Okay, so this handsome fella is author Jay Miletsky, a mentor and admin of the children's book author, illustrator, publishing, marketing, and selling Facebook group. He's also the head of the IAPC, the Independent Authors Publishing Collective, and is has been a great mentor, someone that's been there for many of the authors that are here, myself included. So welcome, Jay. I am glad to just pass it over to you, and I'll stop my sharing, let you introduce yourself, and go ahead and move forward to share whatever you have on your side.
Surely. Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. So let me see if I can, actually, before I share, I will, I'll just start telling you guys a little bit about myself first. Hold on a second. I think I just see, okay. So anyway, sorry, I was reading the comments. I saw my name in there. Anyway, so some of you may know me, some of you may not. My name is Jay Miletsky. I'm the admin of the group that April had mentioned. I'm assuming that many of you are already part of that group. And I am a big advocate for independent authors. As an independent author myself, I've been on both sides of the fence. To give you a little bit of my background, I graduated from Brandeis University in 1994, and I started my first business out of my bedroom after I graduated. It was a marketing agency, even though I really had no marketing knowledge or experience. And actually, I think sometimes that can actually be a good thing. I think I was probably too stupid to know any better, and ended up doing some things that worked when other people probably would have told me that those wouldn't have worked. And so I think sometimes less knowledge is a little bit better. Long story short, I ended up, that business ended up, at its height was about 50 people, 50 employees. We had the floor of a pretty nice sized building, worked with brands such as Hershey's, JVC, NBA, and a bunch of others, mostly Washington Mutual. Only worked with pretty large brands at the time. When I decided that I had had enough of that, I sold it off to my partner, and I went and opened a media company. First company I opened on the media side was a company called it was a company called MyPod Studios, which was an online video network. And that was kind of a lot of fun. And then I sold that off, and I opened up a regular content network called puckermob.com, which is a site that's actually still around today. Back when I was doing it, it was getting 10 to 12 million views per month, all basically 60 pieces of content daily for millennial females who shared the most ridiculous and inane content you could possibly ever imagine. And so I have a good background in content creation for specific audiences, for marketing, both online and offline. I'm an adjunct professor over at Pratt Institute, where I still teach a social media marketing course that I help to build for them. And like I said before, I'm knowledgeable on, have experience on publishing on both sides of the fence. My first 12 books were books on advertising and marketing and entrepreneurship that I did through Pearson Education and Cengage Learning. Cengage is a division of Thomson Reuters. And I have obviously done, the last 5 books have been all children's books that I published myself. The very first one, Ricky the Rock That Couldn't Roll, that one has sold over 70,000 units so far. I started off having a contract with Scholastic, and with the pen in my hand and just about to sign it, I did the numbers in my head and realized I could do a lot better if I self-published. So I'm not someone who believes that self-publishing is something that we should be ashamed of. There are a lot of people who believe incorrectly that people who self-publish are only people who can't find traditional publishers, and I don't believe that's right. I believe that self-publishers are people who actually have enough business acumen to understand that they can do better as actually being the publisher. When I sat there in the Scholastic offices with the contract in front of me, in my head I'm wondering, why would I want to be the author when I can be the publisher? Because clearly Scholastic is going to be making a lot more off my book than I am. And yes, they'd be doing an investment in my book, but I'm totally okay investing in myself. And I believe in the work that I do. I believe in the products that I could put together. So I'd rather invest in myself than allow someone else to invest in me. And from there, I was able to take that first book and the profits that I made from it, and parlay that into four more books that are currently out. So 5 altogether, with 3 more coming out this fall and 4 more coming out in 2021. And my books have started to move off of Amazon. I've started to infiltrate the shelves of Barnes & Noble and Target and traditional retailers as well. So that's been kind of a fun ride. So what I typically talk about, what I'll be talking about today, is understanding your numbers. I like to look at this from a business standpoint. And I'm going to tell you this, I've created this presentation. April had kind of nudged me in a certain direction. So I sort of created this presentation to understand your numbers, with the understanding that you'll likely be selling on Amazon through Seller Central, because I know some people have an interest in Seller Central. I actually like the Seller Central platform. I started off selling on Amazon Advantage, which is a platform strictly for new content creators. Unfortunately, Amazon Advantage is closed right now to new authors. Little by little, I'm hearing that people are starting to get on it again, which tells me that either it's about a year waiting list to get on, or that they are starting to slowly open the door a bit. And if that's the case, then what I'm hoping is that within the next month or 2, they'll start to open the door a lot more, and they'll start letting people back in again. I guess only time will tell. But Advantage, if you have the opportunity to get on Advantage, Advantage is the better platform. However, like I said, as of right now, it's not possible to get on. So therefore, we go for the next best available platform, which is Seller Central. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about Seller Central and how that works, and how to, what your numbers are going to look like working through Seller Central. And I'm going to be very honest with you because I typically like to be about as straightforward as I can be. I try to be as transparent as possible. What I'm going to be showing you is a very ugly picture. And I say that in advance because I don't want to dissuade anybody. I don't want to discourage anyone from writing a book or from publishing a book. But what I do want to do is I want to keep people from losing money. I've always been a big advocate of people investing wisely. And in order to invest wisely, you need to understand the numbers behind what you're doing. A lot of people think that children's books are easy. They're not. They're not easy to write, and they're certainly not easy to publish. This is and I think the main point of my whole thesis here is that this is a business. If you are just a hobbyist, then that's fine. You can print a few books and sell them, and hand them out to friends and family, and nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to make money from this, you have to understand this is a business. And my entire adult life, I've never had a regular job. I've always run businesses, and I can say it is very unlikely. And I obviously have known quite a few people who have also run businesses. I've known very, very few people who have ever turned a profit in the first couple of years. You are typically running at a loss for those first couple of years because you're going to continue to reinvest in your products and your business. You're going to continue to try to grow it. Any money that you do make is going to go right back into the business. You're likely going to have to go for a little while without taking a salary for yourself. It is not easy. Just because you have a fun story that involves foxes and bears and butterflies and anti-bullying and whatever it else is that you want to write about, the fact of the matter is what you are producing at the end of the day is still a commodity, and that commodity is going to require an investment, and that commodity is going to require risk, and it's going to require you to be okay with losing money for a couple of years before you start to actually make any. So the numbers you're going to see are going to be scary and ugly, but I think it's important for you to know what they are so that over time you can prepare yourself to have the funds necessary in advance, and you can invest the correct way and also, build for the future. So again, like I said, I really don't want anyone to lose money. So before I get to my actual presentation, I want to talk a little bit about what Amazon Seller Central is. So like I said, there are multiple, and I wouldn't be able to give you a full education in Seller Central just in this presentation alone. There is that you can drill down into that particular platform, and we could spend days talking about it. It's a platform that you really would have to kind of try out and get yourself involved in to really learn the nuances of it. But basically what Seller Central is it allows you to have your own store on Amazon. And with that store, you can sell whatever it is you want. If you want to sell your baseball card collection, if you want to sell wooden mallards that you're carving in your basement, or if you want to sell your books, whatever it is you want to sell, you have your own little store on Amazon and you can sell them. You can set the price that you want to sell them for, and Amazon is not going to touch that price. Where I mentioned before, a platform called Amazon Advantage, and Amazon is going to pay you a certain amount of money per book, and they're going to change your price on a regular basis until they figure out, they're going to constantly test new prices for your book, but you're always going to get paid based on your cover price. With Seller Central, it's a little bit different. You're going to pick whatever price you want to sell your book for. So even if your book is selling for, let's say, a cover price of $17.95, which is a traditional cover price for a children's book in the U.S., you can decide that you can look at your competitors and decide that it looks like the going rate to be competitive is $13. So you're going to sell yours for about $13 also, and that'll be a discount off the cover price. Because honestly, not a lot of books sell for the cover price on Amazon. So you can make those decisions yourself and decide what those prices are going to be. Okay, so anyway, with Seller Central, you have two choices in terms of how the books are going to get fulfilled to the end customers. One way is that you can fulfill them yourselves, meaning that when an order comes in, you're going to put your book into an envelope and package that envelope up, put the label on it, bring it to the post office, pay for the postage, and you're going to ship it out, and that's going to be that. You actually can, the postage you can get from Amazon. There's a way to tell Amazon how you want to ship it, and it'll actually give you the label. You just have to print it out from there, and Amazon will take the shipping price from your proceeds. You don't have to do it. You don't have to have it yourself. Let's say that you have thousands of books in your. You don't probably want to have thousands of books in your home. So you could have your books at a warehouse. There are a number of different warehouses. We have one at the IAPC that does this kind of stuff. There's also a warehouse up in Massachusetts that's very popular called PSSC. There's a company called WarePack in Michigan that also does that. And basically these warehouses will keep your books on the shelf for a small amount of money per month. And every time there is a book that needs to get sent out, they'll take it off the shelf, out of the box, and they'll package it up for you, obviously at a cost. So you can either, again, have a warehouse do it, or you can do it yourself. Or you can use what's called FBA. FBA stands for Filled by Amazon. And that means that you're going to send a whole bunch of books over to Amazon, and Amazon's going to keep them in their warehouse. And as orders come in, Amazon will pick them off the shelf. They'll box them up individually, and they'll send them out, and they'll do that for you. So therefore, you don't have to use a warehouse. Amazon becomes a warehouse that's doing that, or you don't have to do it yourself. Now, I will say there is one thing that I do really enjoy about, and I do use Seller Central a little bit, not a lot, but I use a little bit. I'll get a couple of orders per day from it, and I actually will sit by myself and I'll package them up on my own, and I prefer that for one particular reason, over fulfillment by Amazon. And the reason why I like to package my own books is because when I put a book into an envelope, I don't just put the book by itself into an envelope. I also put in one 8.5 by 11 sheet that says, hey, by the way, if you like this book, you might also like these other 4 books by the same author. And then another sheet that says, by the way, if you are a teacher, an elementary school teacher, or you are an administration person at an elementary school, or you are a parent that is involved in your kid's class, and you would like an author visit to come and read his book, I'm available for those sort of things. And out of 400 or so books that I have shipped out through Seller Central, I've booked 3 school appearances, and I make about $1,500 per school appearance. So just by packing a couple of sheets into some papers, I made an extra $4,500 just from that effort. And I could also have a warehouse do that at a small fee to stuff those envelopes. Amazon won't stuff envelopes for you. They will put in the book that the person ordered, but they're not going to put in anything additional. So you kind of miss out on that. And I think that's actually a pretty good way to get some extra revenue, because you have when you send something out to someone who's ordered your book, you have a trapped audience that is interested in your book because they went out of their way to buy it. So that's a pretty good audience to get a sheet of paper in front of for other things. So okay, all that being said, I put together this presentation. I'm going to share my screen now. And I put together it's a pretty bare bones presentation. I'm going to show you guys, we're going to walk through the prices and the revenue and everything for doing this, both through Seller Central, both on with FBA and without FBA. So obviously everyone's book is going to be a little bit different. And we're going to be talking about this under the assumption that, again, working as a business, the first thing you're going to want to do as a business is have your books printed as cheaply as possible and with as high quality as possible. You don't want to print cheaply and sacrifice quality. There's nothing to be gained by that. We want to print as cheaply as possible with as high quality as we can get. And in order to do that, we're going to print in bulk. Okay, we're not printing through Ingram Spark or anything like that. Those are POD printers that have exceptionally high prices per unit, so high that there's absolutely no way that you can make a profit. In fact, I can tell you one way to spot a book that has been printed by Ingram Spark or Lulu or BookBaby. If you see a book that is a hardcover book, standard, 8.5 by 11 or whatever it is, 32 pages, a standard children's picture book on Amazon, and you see it's got a cover price of $25, let's say, guarantee that is a book that's been printed by Ingram Spark or Lulu or BookBaby, because it's the price is so high that the author realizes that their costs are so great that the only way they can make any money is by charging an insane fee of $25 or higher. And then if you look at the bestseller rank, you'll notice the bestseller rank is probably in the millions, because no one is buying a children's book for $25 on Amazon. So it's just a pointless endeavor to try to do it that way. So really the only way to actually have a shot at making a profit is to print your books in China. China is the hub of the world for book printing. This is where Disney and Scholastic and Random House and all those major publishers, this is where they all print their books, especially books that need to be in color. Everything is cheaper in China, and the quality is exceptionally high. If you're working with the right printer who will back their products, then you will get a very high quality product for a much cheaper price. So, but again, like I said, the prices are, and we're going to be printing in bulk. So the prices are going to vary depending on your particular specs of your book. For this, I'm just going to assume that you have a hardcover book that's 9 by 9, 9 inches by 9 inches with a dust cover. 105 pound dust cover. You guys all know that's that wrapping that goes around the book that most people just take and throw out immediately because we all hate them, but bookstores like them. So we're going to add it in for this particular project. With a dust cover, 105 pound paper, which is a nice heavier paper, 32 pages, and we're only going to order 1,000. Okay, and I'm saying that because as the person who runs the IAPC, which is a company that helps to facilitate the printing in and shipping from books, printing in China and shipping from China back to the U.S. I know that we get most of our requests come for 1,000, 1,000 units, and typically I do my best to try to talk someone out of doing 1,000 because, as you'll see, it's not really the best way to move forward. So let's just take a look at our costs, because I think it's important that we understand the kind of numbers that we're looking at. Hold on a second. Trying to just get rid of there we are. Shoot. Sorry about that. I got my I can't for whatever reason I can't see. There we are. Better. Okay. So let's take a look at our pre-press price, and we're gonna look at our price for pre-press, for printing and shipping, and then for storage and shipping. Okay, and we'll kind of break this down. But it's important, like I said, to understand. Okay, I see some questions. If you don't mind, I'm going to save the questions until the end because otherwise I think it's going to kind of ruin the flow here since we're talking about numbers. Okay, so let's look at pre-press first. An ISBN plus a barcode is going to cost about $125, $125. And you can get those yourself through bowker.com, BOWKER.com, and you'll follow that rabbit hole down to one of their other sites called myidentifiers.com. So let me just answer this one question. Actually, Michaela's asking, what's pre-press? So pre-press is all the things that need to come before you even go to the printer. Okay, so you need your ISBN code along with your barcode, and that's what's going to identify your book. Hold on a second. That's this thing right here. This is actually one from Korea, but you would recognize this basically. And that's what allows your book to be scanned at checkouts, at cash registers. That's what allows there to be tracking of your book. So you need to get your ISBN number and a barcode, which again you can get from bowker.com, and eventually you follow that down to a website called myidentifiers.com. Open up an account there, and you spend $125, and you get your ISBN number and your barcode. You're going to need an illustrator. An illustrator is not the place for a picture book to try to save money. A really good illustrator is going to cost about $4,000 to get all of your pictures together, for this 32-page book, and you're probably still going to owe them some royalties on top of it. Typically, they're going to go for $4,000 or so for the project, plus a 5% royalty. Now, the first $4,000 they make, you get to keep. After that, you owe them money. That's called, the $4,000 is called an advance, meaning that it's an advance against future royalties. The illustrator never has to pay it back to you, but they have to pay it back to you through whatever royalties they earn. So, is barcode being replaced by QR code? No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, the QR code is the thing that little square box that you can scan. The QR codes are used more for marketing type of things. I haven't seen any indication that barcodes are being replaced by QR codes at all. I mean, if that's happening anywhere in the country, I don't know about it. I've seen QR codes used more for marketing. So, a company will have a QR code. Let's say, Pillsbury might have a QR code on a box of cookies or whatever, and you can scan it, and it's going to bring you to other recipes that you can use that same dough and that same things. Ways you can as gifts, things like that. So I wouldn't say that QR codes are going to be replacing barcodes, not as far as I've seen. And I'm sorry, and Maria, I do see that you also asked a question. I'm going to come back to that one. No. Okay, so you're going to have an illustrator, and the illustrator really should be a good quality illustrator. So you're looking at $4,000. You need an editor, someone to check your manuscript for spelling and copy mistakes, spelling errors, whatever else, which isn't that expensive. $125 for a 32-page book is about right. And then you might have a production cost. The production cost meaning getting your pages set up to go to the printer, or putting in your typography. Not all illustrators really handle typography very well. In fact, actually, many of them don't handle typography very well. So I've seen a lot of authors who will take the illustrations from the illustrator, then send them to a production artist, who will then put the copy in the right way and make it look really nice that way, and also get your files ready for the printer, because the printer needs the files in a certain way. They need them to be what's called CMYK, which is a certain color mechanism. They need to have a 1/4 inch bleed meaning space around the edges, so that when the printer cuts the page to the right size, it doesn't have any white lines around it. So things like that. So you're looking at a total of about $5,000 or so for pre-press. And yes, you can bring that down a little bit by finding a cheaper illustrator if you really need to, or maybe even doing the production yourself if you happen to be decent with Photoshop. But you're probably looking at 5,000. And I'm also skipping out on a lot of things here. You should file your LLC. Your LLC is going to be about $100 to file an LLC, so you are incorporated. You might have some legal fees to go along with that. You're going to have some bank fees because you need to open up a bank account with your business name on it. You might want to have someone develop a website for your company. So there are always going to be things like that. But I'm looking at this strictly from the publishing side of it after you've already set up your company. I don't want to get into line items for all the things that go into a company. Companies are also going to own. You're going to need a laptop. You're going to need a separate phone number. I'm not going to get into all that. That kind of goes along with owning a company. But let's put away the pre-press numbers for a moment, because the pre-press numbers are going to be paid for by future profits if there are going to be any. Because those are evergreen numbers. Once you pay your $4,000 for your illustrator, you have forever to make that money back. It's not on it. We don't calculate that number on the per unit basis. And the reason why is because let's say that you only sell one book. Well, your per unit cost for your illustrator is then $4,000 per unit. That's not very good if you only sell one book. If you sell 4,000 books, your per unit cost is $1. If you sell 40,000 books, your per unit cost is 40 cents. So, we don't really put these numbers into the per unit cost. We're trying to figure out how much our books are costing us on a per unit basis. So let's jump down now to printing and shipping. So printing and shipping, again, we're printing in China. Let's say that for 1,000 units, we're looking at a price of $3.92 per unit. So it's going to cost us almost $4,000 just to send to the printer, just for the printer to print your books. Then the books still have to be shipped back to the U.S., to wherever you're going to be. Now, this price here that you're seeing, $1.15, that's to come over to New Jersey. I put that in there for my warehouse in Kearney, New Jersey. If you are shipping out, let's say, to California or another part of the country, it might be cheaper. But let's just go with this number, for example, at $1.15 per unit. So you're looking at another $1,150 per unit for shipping. So our total cost landed, meaning manufactured and brought to the U.S., our total landed cost is just over $5,000. That's what it's going to cost you. So your per unit price is $5.07 per unit. Okay, that's how much your book costs you for printing and shipping. Now, that's not the last of our per unit costs. We still have to store it and still ship it to customers or to wholesalers. So let's say that you have your book at a warehouse. Okay, now I'm assuming that we're going to keep our books in storage for 3 months before they get taken off the shelf and sent out. So let's just pretend that the warehousing cost is going to be 5 cents per month per book. So for 3 months, your warehousing cost will be 15 cents. Now, an order comes in and someone has to go and they have to pick that off the shelf and they have to package it into an envelope and put the label on, fold the envelope up and stick it in whatever else. That whole thing is going to cost about $2.90 for them to do that. And then shipping is going to cost $2.75. The $2.75 came from my assumption that the book will be a little less than a pound, and we're using Media Mail. Media Mail is a program run by the United States Post Office that allows you to ship books at a cheaper rate. It does take a little longer. It might take a week or so to get someplace, but it is a cheaper way to ship your books. So our total price for storage and shipping is $5.80. Now we can avoid some of these fees by if you have your books at your house. If you're only ordering 1,000 books, let's say, it might not be that big of a deal to find a place in your a cool room in your house where you can leave your books. The reason why I'm saying a cool room is because you don't want to have them in your basement or in your garage where there's going to be a tendency for the humidity to go up or down, or the temperatures to go up and down. These are still paper products, and paper products, no matter how well they're made, are going to not survive very well or for very long in damp or environments with high humidity, let's say, or the temperature changes a lot. So you can avoid some of these costs by keeping them yourself. But let's just say that you have them in a warehouse for now. So your warehousing, storage and shipping fees are $5.80. Added together with your total landed cost of $5.07, we're looking at a total cost of $5.87. Now, let's also look now, and that's without FBA. That's if you're selling Seller Central without FBA, meaning that you're going to have a warehouse ship them yourself. So, Maria, I can't see the end of your chat because it's off to the side, so I'm going to come back to that in a little bit also. okay, now let's say that you want to sell it. You want to ship your books. You want to sell your books through Seller Central with FBA, meaning that you're going to now have Amazon fulfill your books for you. So the pre-press prices are all the same. The printing and shipping prices are all the same. What changes is your storage and shipping costs. So you're still going to assume, let's still assume that your books are going to be in someone else's warehouse for 3 months before they get shipped out. So we'll say 15 cents per book. Picking and packing now is not going to be $2.90. It's only going to be 28 cents. Because now instead of sending one book at a time, you're going to send an entire box. We're going to assume that we're shipping a box of 20 units to Amazon. Hold on, I'm sorry, hold on a second. Did you see? Okay. So we're going to assume that we're going to send a box of books to Amazon, and the price is like $5 and change. So hold on a second. I'm sorry. You looking for the monitor? I saw it. I thought I saw it on the floor someplace. Sorry, guys. Parenting work comes first. I think I have it here. Yeah. Okay, so sorry about that. Sorry, Jennifer saying, why are we sending 20 units to Amazon? Okay, yes, you can send 1,000 units to Amazon. You could do that, okay? The reason why, I was gonna get to that, the reason why we are sending boxes of 20 to Amazon, you can send them 100 at a time, but most books are gonna be packed, let's say 20 to a box. You're probably not gonna wanna have your books all sent to Amazon for 2 reasons. One is that their storage fees are higher than the storage fees at most warehouses. So for them to just store the books is gonna be more expensive. Plus, Amazon, where most warehouses, let's say like our warehouse or the warehouse in Massachusetts or whoever else, most warehouses are going to let you keep your books there forever. It doesn't make a difference. They can just sit on the shelves. Amazon doesn't want books sitting on the shelves. They have too much inventory. They want your books to sell. If your books take a while to sell, they will ship them back to you, and they're going to charge you for that shipping back to you. And if they ship it back to a warehouse, for example, the warehouse is going to charge you for receiving those books, and they're going to charge you a lot for it. And I've seen instances where Amazon has sent back books one at a time, which means that the cost just to receive the return books is insane. So typically what most authors will do is they will have their books stored at a warehouse and then ship, let's say, in boxes of 20, they'll ship 100 at a time over to Amazon. So Amazon only has 100, and that way if there are returns, they're minimized. So let's assume that it's about 28 cents per book, picking and packing, and shipping also is lower because we're shipping a box of 20 is going to cost 75 cents per unit as opposed to 275 because we're not shipping a single unit, we're shipping a box of 20. So our total for shipping and storing is going to be $1.18. Our total cost here is now a lot lower. It's only $6.25. This so far this seems like a lot better going through FBA as opposed to not FBA. We're going to see in a little bit that's not necessarily going to be the case. And again, remember, these numbers are going to be ugly because this is a business, and it's going to take a little while before we come up over that hump and actually make some money from it. Okay, so now let's look at the revenue outlook without FBA. Okay, so this is shipping them yourself through your warehouse. Let's just say that your sale price is $10.90. I've got no idea why I picked that number. I just did. $10.90, and you're also charging $3.33 for shipping. So a total cost to the consumer of $14.23. So your proceeds will be, and you can see here, Amazon has estimated out what my proceeds are going to be. They're going to charge you a referral fee. Basically, your total sale price is $14.23. They're charging you a referral fee of $2.13 and other fees. They don't really explain what other fees are in great detail, but they come out to $1.80. So your estimated net proceeds are only $10.30. Okay, now you got to ship the book to the end user for $2.75, and we already saw from this past screen here, that our total cost between printing and shipping and shipping and storage is $10.87. In this scenario, we're losing $3.32 per book. Okay, so clearly this is not a good idea. This is not a good scenario. We can't be selling this book for $10.90. We have to be selling this book for at least $14 in order to generate positive revenue. Even that will be a little bit small, but at least we'll be on the plus side. Okay, so let's look at our revenue outlook with FBA. Okay, so with FBA, let's just say that because I'm not going to be charging shipping, because going through FBA, all the customers have the ability to order books through they get prime discounts, which means that they'll most likely not be paying for shipping. You're not paying for shipping with Amazon FBA. Your Amazon will take care of all that for you. So let's say now we're going to charge $13.50 as our sale price. So we'll make $13.50 in terms of gross revenue. Our proceeds for this, if you look at this thing on the left-hand side, their referral fee is $2.03. Other fees are $1.80, plus their FBA fees are $4.90. So the total proceeds here are only $4.77. We don't have any cost for shipping, but our cost back here was $6.25. Okay, so we're losing $1.48. Okay, we're losing less than we lost under the other scenario, right? Than if we didn't use FBA, but we're still losing money. Okay, so we still need to increase that price, that sell price, to generate a positive revenue. We still can't sell it for $13.50. We need to sell it probably for at least $15 in order just to almost come close to breaking even. However, that's obviously not what we're doing. We're not doing all this to break even. Okay, how can we actually make some money here? Okay, so let's change our book a bit. One of the things to remember is that when you're selling on Amazon, a book that is, a book is basically being seen as a thumbnail, right? Most people will have no idea whether it has a dust cover or not, and a dust cover can be a little on the expensive side for you to cost, for you to spend money on when you're printing. So now let's assume a hardcover book, 9x9, without a dust cover, still 105-page paper, 5-pound paper. We don't want to skimp on the paper quality. Still 32 pages, but now instead of 1,000 units, we're going to order 5,000 units. Okay, so now we're going to increase the amount of money, the amount of quantity that we're doing. Now there's other things in here that I could do also. For example, I could reduce my cost more by changing it from 9x9 to 8.5 by 8.5. That would actually also save me some money. If I was able to change my book from 32 pages to, let's say, 28 pages, could I get rid of a couple spreads? Maybe that's possible. Maybe one spread is the bio pages for the author and the illustrator. I don't know, but maybe I can get rid of 4 pages. That would also bring me down to 28 pages. That also helps me to reduce my cost. And I don't have to change how much I'm charging the customers either. But for right now, let's just look at the same basic setup, but without a dust cover and increasing the quantity from 1,000 to 5,000 units. Okay, so now we have some different numbers here. Our pre-press costs are still the same. Our printing and shipping, though, has changed. Okay, so now we've gone from the unit price for printing and shipping before was $5.07. Now we've dropped down to $3.10 because our per unit price for printing has gone down and our per unit price for shipping has gone down. Okay, the same thing here. Warehousing really hasn't. The warehousing and shipping hasn't changed on either side, but our printing and shipping from China has changed. Okay, considerably. We've got it down to $3.10. So now on the without FBA side, we're down to a total cost of $8.90. With FBA, we're down to a total cost of $4.28. This is definitely better. Okay, is this going to solve all of our problems? Well, it's going to make us profitable. It's not going to make us wealthy, but it's going to make us profitable at least. Of course, there's going to be a more significant investment because you now have 5,000 books. But again, like I said, this is a business. So now let's look at this first without FBA. First thing you want to notice is I increased my price from $10.90 to $14. This is a more reasonable price. Now, does this kind of suck for the consumer because they have to pay $14 plus $3.33 for shipping? It does a little bit for sure. However, one thing that is kind of cool is that even if you're doing it without FBA, assuming that you have a month or so of really good performance where you are making sure that all of your books get out there on time, and you make sure that anyone who asks you a question, you respond to them quickly. If you're doing all that, you will qualify. Even without using FBA, you'll qualify for Prime discounts, meaning that your customers will be able to get free shipping and all of that, even though you're doing the work yourself. So we might be able to kind of save ourselves a little bit here and lower our price by being able to offer Prime discounts. But for right now, let's just say we're selling the book for $14, and we have a shipping price of $3.33, so total revenue of $17.33. If you look here, the referral fee is now $2.60. The other fees are $1.80. So our total proceeds is $2.75. I'm sorry, our total proceeds is $12.93. Our shipping costs are going to be $2.75. Again, shipping through media mail, and our costs for without FBA is $8.90. So this means that we're making $1.28. Okay, so we're actually, at least now we're on the profit side. Okay, we're making money under this setup. We have a margin of about 10%. Now, of course, what factors affect the referral fee? That is just a fee that Amazon charges. The fees that you're seeing here in red, these are what Amazon charges you. The referral fee is just for them having traffic, that being a site that's got a lot of traffic on it. So that is what it is. So we're not making a bunch, but we're making about 10%. Now, is 10% great? It's not wonderful. However, 10% is pretty much the average for the publishing industry. And the publishing industry is kind of right in the middle of all industries, where, a restaurant makes maybe like a 1.5%, 2% margin. And, an automobile manufacturer makes a 4% margin. And there are some companies that, some industries that will make like a 15, 16% margin. Publishing typically makes a 10% margin. So we're right where we kind of should be. Although, like I said, we're only dealing with one book. So we're not looking at we're not going to be not going to be having this conversation on the deck of our yachts anytime soon. We're only making $1.28, but we're also only investing in one book at this point. Now let's look at these prices again with FBA. Before, you notice that we only had 1,000 units. You notice that we had done better with FBA. Now we actually do better without FBA. So here, I also have the same sale price of $14. There's no shipping charge. So the total revenue is $14. Our proceeds, if you look here on the left-hand side, is showing our estimated proceeds are $5.20. We don't have a shipping cost. However, our cost total, if we go back to here, is $4.28. Whoops. So that $4.28, that's going to give us a profit of 92 cents. So we've dropped our margin down to about 6.5%, but we at least have a profit of 92 cents. Now, again, we haven't paid for marketing yet, but at least now we're on the plus side. So we can that's something to work from. We do a little bit worse here than we did with not FBA, but not really by a lot. Now, how can we still increase our margins? Because obviously we want to make more than this. We can still increase our margins by increasing the quantity ordered over time. Okay, so for example, there's example one. I'm not. Again, like I said, I'm in this now for 2.5 years, and I'm just now starting to see a profit. Okay, I just put in my first order for Ricky the Rock That Couldn't Roll was 3,500 units. My current order for Ricky the Rock is 30,000 units. So my per unit price is extremely cheap because I'm ordering in such volume. But it took me 2.5 years to get there. And I also continue to invest in other books. That's another thing you can do. Another way to keep some of your costs down is to also have additional titles. Okay, why is that going to help? Because if you print them both at the same time, your shipping fees are going to go down. You probably will also get some lower printing costs if you're printing prices if you're printing 2 books at a time, as long as the quantity is high enough. Also, when someone goes to buy one book, they'll probably see that you also have a second book, and there's a good chance that a small percentage of them will buy that book also. We can also change our book specs. We can change from 9x9 down to 8.5 by 8.5. You can get rid of a couple pages. You can get rid of, you can change the paperweight from 105 pound to 85 pound if you really wanted to. You can sell books quicker. For example, I had us at 15 cents for warehousing fees because I assume that the books will be on the shelf for 3 months. If you can sell your books faster, well, that's some money you can save. Let's say your books are selling fast enough that they're only on the shelf for a month. Well, that's only 5 cents. It's another 10 cents that you're saving that goes towards your profit. Or let's say for that first couple of shipments, they come to your home. Now you're saving all of those warehouse fees completely, and that's additional profit you can use to invest in more books. Now, the other thing to remember is that this is only by looking at selling through Amazon Seller Central. If Amazon Advantage opens up again, there's more money to be made on Amazon Advantage. But more importantly, there are other ways to sell. You don't only have to sell. Books through Amazon. You can also sell books at street fairs when those come back. I mean, in a post-COVID world when we're back to normal, there will be street fairs again. Street fairs, you can sell books for $15, and now you're making a full $10, and you don't have the storage fees associated with those. You can sell books at school visits. By doing them through Zoom while we're still in lockdown and you're not going to have in-person assemblies any longer. There are opportunities to sell books through schools, and that can be very lucrative. You can sell for the full cover price to a school, and now you're making a lot of money. So I don't want this to discourage you. The reality is, selling through Seller Central, you can make some money. It's just that it's going to be on the smaller side. You can sell, when you sell more directly, if you can sell books through your website at $14, $15 and fulfill them yourselves, you'll do better there. You won't have all these referral fees and all these other fees that Amazon charges. So let me exit out of here. I see a lot of questions coming through. I want to stop sharing this so I can see the questions actually. Let me go back up. I first saw Marie ask the question. I don't want to forget that one. So let's start from here. When you offer books from the same author, Do you send them to your Seller Central or direct? When I offer books from the same author, do you send them to your Seller Central or direct? I'm not really sure I understand that part of the question, Marie, because I only sell in the IAPC only works on printing and shipping. We don't actually get involved in the sale of books. So every author is kind of it's up to them to sell their own books. So we don't keep other books on our Seller Central account. It appears you cannot order a book of 34 pages. Yes, correct. Most books have to be in multiples of 4. Take a piece of paper and fold it in half, and then open it again, and you'll see there's 4 panels. So add in another piece of paper that's folded in half. There's 8 panels. So everything has to be in multiples of 4. So that's correct. There's no such thing as a 34-page book. Okay, so let's see. How many cubic feet is 1,000 hardcovers? And I have absolutely no idea. It depends on the number of pages, and that I don't have that information offhand. That's something I would actually have to ask a printer. They could figure that out for me though. And if you shoot me a DM or an email, I can find that out for you. Okay, so Jennifer, I think I answered this about 20 units to Amazon instead of 1,000. What factors in referral fees? I don't know. Like I said, that's an Amazon cost. Okay, so there's no way to make a profit unless you order 5,000 books. So Terry, that's actually not correct. So once again, I want to make sure that you understand. I'm only talking here about Seller Central. You have to, and the reason why I did this is because I want to show you that I want to show people that you do have to order in bulk and higher quantities of volume in order to get those prices down. Those prices need to come down in order for you to enjoy some sort of a margin. It is, and that's the same. That's not just with books. That is with absolutely anything. If you want to manufacture toasters, pencils, cars, radios, it doesn't make a difference. The more that you order, the less that price is going to be. Watch a couple episodes of Shark Tank, and you will see one thing that keeps coming up over and over again is people saying that they need the investment so they can order more quantity to get their unit cost down. And that right now they're losing money because they're not ordering enough. They're ordering a small quantity. Books are the same way. The more that you order, the more that the less that you're going to pay per unit, and that's where your profit comes in. Okay, so that is in absolutely every industry. But again, like I said, if you do order 1,000 books, right, and that price is still fairly high, if you're selling the book, let me go back to my presentation. I just want to take a look at something real quick. Hold on a second. If you let's say you're looking at a $10.87 cost, right? Well, here's the thing. So let's say that you print 1,000 units. That 1,000 units is going to cost you $5.07 for printing and shipping from China. And let's say that you don't sell on Amazon. Let's pretend that you keep those books in your home and you're going to sell through school visits. Well, those books are only costing you $5.07. You're going to sell them at school visits for, let's say, $15, right? You're making $10. So you can make a good profit there. Or you can sell them for the full cover price, $17.95, and now you're making $12. That's even better. If it's an economically depressed district, you sell them for $11, and you're still making $6 on it. You can make a great profit that way. But I know a lot of people have questions about Seller Central, and they look at that as the way they're going to sell their books. And I want to show you that yes, you can make money there. However, you need to order in greater volume. I know people who warehouse their books with us, and they don't really seem to be selling on Amazon at all. And I've asked them, do you need help marketing your books? Because they don't really seem to be moving from, I'm sending out a few hundred at a time back to you, whoever it is that's the author, but I'm not really seeing anyone buying on Amazon. I've asked them, do you need help? One author told me they don't need any help. They're selling all their books through partnerships they have with nonprofits, and they're working it out with nonprofits where nonprofits are using their books as ways to do fundraising, and they're selling 300 to 600 books every week. So Amazon Seller Central is a way to sell, and it's great to have a presence there. But if you only want to ship, if you only want to order 1,000 books, you can do so. You just have to do more of the legwork to get the sales from other avenues outside of Amazon. Okay, so yes, Jennifer, you're right. You also have to increase the price. I kept my price artificially low for demonstration purposes. April's saying, I've seen typical prices of $17.95 for hardcover books, but you use 14-unit spreadsheet. Can you discuss pricing hardcovers? So sure. So I think that, typically a typical price for a hardcover book for a children's book is going to be about $17.95, $17.99. However, you rarely see a book selling for that amount on Amazon. Most of the hardcover books on Amazon are selling for discounts. We're going to be selling in the $12 to $14 range. You don't see a lot of books on Amazon selling for the full cover price. Most people have gotten used to there being a discount. One thing that people don't realize is, and I always think this is interesting because people demonize Amazon quite a bit for being so wealthy. And Jeff Bezos for being so wealthy, is I mentioned before that the standard margin for most publishing companies is 10%. Amazon actually, for all the money that they make, their margins are less than 1%. Their margins are about 0.72%. They are barely making anything, but they sell in such huge volumes, right, that they're making billions of dollars. But their margins are actually only 0.72%, 0.72%. So it's less than 1% of their margins. So they're not bilking anybody. They're not making their money at the expense of manufacturers. They are just making their money by the insane amount of volume that they have. Terrence says, any change in the size or price, would it need a new ISBN number? No. So typically, that's a good question, and people do ask that. Typically, the only time you really need a new ISBN number is when you're changing something substantial with the content of the book. I've changed the entire cover of a book, and I've kept the same ISBN number. It's typically the guidelines are pretty much, if it changes the the content or the meaning or whatever else of the book, then it would require a different ISBN number. Changing the size of the price, not so much. Now, if you change the price, you would need a different barcode, because once you tell Bowker or my identifiers what the price is going to be, it's bitten into that barcode. So if you want to change the price, you would need to have a different ISBN number for that, a different barcode for that, not a different ISBN number. Okay, Jay, did you account for shipping to Amazon or FBA? I did. See, I did. So I have, I had in here picking and packing to FBA and shipping, and I had shipping down at 75 cents per book because we're shipping a box of 20 as opposed to just individuals. So, you might also be able to get your printer to pack your books in boxes of 40, and that would actually decrease your price even further. So yes, that was actually in the spreadsheet, and I think if you look back when you watch the recording, you'll see that. Laura is saying, after you explain everything, did you find it was easier to sell face-to-face or on Amazon or your website? So I found it easier to sell on Amazon because that's where the volume is. However, I have to say, I really enjoy the school visits. I don't really enjoy street fairs so much, only because I don't like giving up a Saturday or Sunday, having to put the tent up and table. And honestly, social distancing works for me because I hate people. In general, I'm okay not being around a lot of them. So, having to stand there and shake everyone's hands and talk about the books, it's not really my thing. I don't really dig that so much. I do like the school visits. I love speaking to 600-700 kids at a time. And there's a lot of money we've made in book sales at schools. So, I like everything about that. I like the presentations. I like talking with the kids. I like the revenue that I'm making, because the revenue that I make from a school visit is substantial. I mean, my costs are very, very low because I print in such high volumes. And like I said, I can walk away from a school visit with $1,500 in revenue, and that's a $17.95 per book. I'll sell my book at full cover price. So that to me is right now the easiest sale. I'm constantly always getting new sales through Amazon, but for me, the easiest way to make more substantial revenue is through school visits. What price point would you recommend as the cover price versus the sales price for an 8.5 by 8.5 paperback with 32 pages? Do not recommend doing print on demand if our goal is profit. So if your goal is profit, I do not recommend doing print on demand because the math doesn't make sense. The prices that you're seeing that I gave you are probably half of what you would be paying for print on demand. For the book that I had said, I don't even think Ingram Spark or most print on demand companies will even do a 9 by 9 or a 10 by 10. I think 8.5 by 8.5 is probably the highest they'll go. And you're going to be looking at a print price only of over $10. There's no way to make any money that way. And the paperback, here's the thing: paperback is not really ideal, especially for children's books. The U.S. market in the U.S. market is for children's books is hardcover books, because paperback books are going to get ruined in no time. Parents want books that are going to last a little bit longer, have a longer shelf life. So I wouldn't recommend a paperback, really, especially, and also, paperback is going to be selling for typically $9.95 to $11.95. So your margin is really with the book that's going to be higher priced, and I would say that you're gonna have more volume sales with the hardcover, but do the math. Like I showed you here, put everything together, figure out what your prices are going to be for printing and for shipping, what your potential revenue can be. If the cover price is $9.95 or $11.95, you're not going to be selling it for that on Amazon. You're going to have to sell it for less than that, which is also going to cut into your margin. So I wouldn't. I'm personally not a fan of the paperback model. Maria's saying, shipping to Amazon, does it make sense to send as many books at once, as many as you expect to sell in a month, in a week? So, I think that, again, like I said, once you have an understanding of how many books you're going to be selling, then you can start increasing the amount that you're sending to Amazon. So, for example, if you're seeing that they're selling 100 books a month, okay, then send them 200 at a time. If they're only sending 10 a month, well, you don't want to send them 200 because they're going to send 150 of them back to you, and that's going to be on your dime. They're going to charge you for that. So, I would send a smaller amount first, 50, 60 books at a time, see how quickly they're selling. Once you get to a point where you only have, let's say, half your inventory left, send them another 40, 60 books. Make sure that you're seeing that there's a good sell-through. And once you see that, then you start increasing the amount that you're sending them. And as you send them in higher volumes, your warehousing fees outside of Amazon are going to be lower. And maybe for your next printing, you can have all of your books shipped directly to Amazon because they're not going to sit in the shelves very long there. April's saying is if just Seller Central is used or FBA, are new authors able to advertise on AMS? No. Well, I shouldn't say that. Yes and no. So one of the negatives about Seller Central is that you don't have access to AMS, which is Amazon Marketing Services, which is a shame. Now, that being said, you can get through Amazon Marketing Services by going through Advantage, but Advantage, like I said, is closed to most new authors now. Although, like I said, I've been hearing little, whispers that it's starting to open up again. And I've talked to some people who have actually gone on there after being on a waiting list for about a year. Now, those people will have access to AMS after they show some good organic traffic to their page. You won't have access to AMS through Seller Central until you register with Amazon as a brand. So that means that you have to have a trademark for your company, for your publishing company. And that trademark has to be from the U.S. government, and you have to send that. You have to register with Amazon as a brand, and you have to send them the paperwork showing you have this trademark and that this trademark owns your particular story. Okay, once you do that, you'll have access to some ads on AMS. You're not going to have access to sponsored ads, which are probably the most popular and beneficial, but you'll be able to do other kind of advertising on Amazon, such as standard display advertising. Those little banners and whatever else. It's not great, but it's better than nothing. The click-through rate is probably a little bit less, but it's better than nothing. So it does give you some access. But obviously, there's other ways to advertise as well. You have Facebook, PPC, Google AdWords, Instagram, Pinterest. So there's other ways of advertising outside of AMS. Michaela, can you run your own Amazon ads if you use all sorts of? No, just answer that one no, and the answer is no, unless you are an actual brand registered with Amazon, which everyone should be anyway. Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen, and this is complete conjecture. It's total guesswork. I don't know for sure this is it. But I think what's going to happen is that over time, Amazon is going to start to blend in or merge Amazon Advantage with Amazon Seller Central. And eventually, they're going to create a single platform for everyone that'll look more like Seller Central, but will give authors access to even sponsored ads on AMS, as long as you have proven to them that you own the trademark on your company, and then that company owns your content. So I would suggest open up your LLC, get a logo created, get a trademark on that logo, register with Amazon as quickly as possible, because that is the change that's going to happen. And to me, all signs are pointing to that's what's going to happen. You should be able to advertise on Amazon at some point in the future. So, okay, let's see. Adele is saying, if you as the author discount your book through Seller Central, do you just get your percentage based off of new sales prices? Do you just get your percentage based off of new sales price? Whereas with Amazon Advantage, Amazon is the one discounting it. It will still benefit from getting the percentage. Okay, I'm not 100% sure I understand the question, but I'll explain the way that it would work. Is Amazon figures out their fees on Seller Central. Amazon figures out their fees based on whatever your price is. The higher your price, their fees go up a little bit more also, but you get to keep more of it in your pocket. But the price stays at whatever it is you charge, and that's what you get paid minus Amazon's fees. Through Advantage is going to give you 45% of the cover price, regardless of what they sell the book for. So if your book is selling for $17.95 cover price, at Advantage, if you have an Advantage account, they're going to give you 45% of that, which is $8.08. So you get $8.08 in your pocket, regardless of whether or not Amazon is paying is pricing your books at $10 or $19. So obviously you want them to lower the price of your book as much as possible. The lower they make it, the higher the volume goes in terms of sales, and you still get your $8.08 regardless. Okay, so is POD for paperback on KDP good for profit? It's not as good as it's not the worst option as far as POD goes. KDP is probably your best bet, but it's not great. The paperback the quality of the actual books aren't great on KDP. It's 85-pound paper, so it's a little thinner. They don't always get the cutting of the pages correct. The margins are pretty poor. Meaning the profit margins. For example, an 8.5 by 8.5 book, 32 pages, full color, probably going to charge you somewhere around $3.80 per unit, let's say, and you're going to charge, let's say, $9.95 for it because it's a paperback book. So you're going to get, let's just say it's $3.95 for the cost. You're going to get $6 difference, and you're going to get 30% of that. So you're going to get $2 for it. $2 doesn't sound. It sounds probably better than what you're getting here. However, like I said, when you for your Amazon sales only, that's not so bad. But let's say that you want to sell your book at a street fair or a school visit. You're not going to sell a lot of softcover books, and you still have to pay the author price to Amazon of $3.90 or whatever it is per unit. So your profit margins are going to be so much smaller than if you print out in China for hardcovers and sell those at a street fair or at a school visit. You can make much more that way. Okay, Laura's saying, just to be devil's advocate, I usually only buy my daughter hardcover if I or she really enjoys the book. I prefer paperback for my daughter because it's easier to travel with. I put more in her luggage or sleepover bags when I have to. I do notice libraries for hardcover or softcover, but when I physically buy it for myself, I prefer softcover. Have you found this to be the same? Maybe I misheard you. So, here's the thing is, and I think that's a mistake that a lot of people make is I would advise against being a focus group of one, meaning that doing things, making decisions based on what you like. For example, I don't like dust covers. Okay. However, my books are being sold through Barnes & Noble and Target, and sales data, right? Even though as a consumer, I could care less about dust covers, and I actually find them a pain in the ass. I tend to get myself paper cuts on them. I throw them away as soon as I get home. But sales data shows that books with dust covers sell better than books without dust covers. Sales data shows that hardcover books in the US sell much better and much faster than soft covers. So you might like a book a certain way, and I might like a book a certain way. That actually doesn't make a difference. All that matters is what we see through sales data, which is collected by Nielsen, by Statistica, by other places that actually collect all this data, by Publishers Weekly, by Kirkus, whatever else is out there that's actually doing these reportings, and they are basing it on real sales data. That's really all that matters. So I understand what you're saying. I like books a certain way also that kind of might go against the norm, but I don't base my decisions on that. I base my decisions on what the market demands. Are trademark and copyright the same? They are not. Copyright is copyright is going to be for your content. Trademark is going to be for your logo or things like that. I would definitely make sure you look that up or talk with a lawyer about how to file for each one, but they are definitely not the same. Okay, what about board books? So interesting. So I actually, on our website, on the IAPC website, you can get a price for all of your books. There's an automatic pricing calculator there, and you can get a price for softcover and for hardcover. You cannot get a price on our website for board books, and we'll get people emailing us saying, "Hey, I noticed that we can't get a price for board books. Do you guys do board books?" And the answer is yes, we absolutely do board books. We work with the same printers. There's only a few printers in China that actually are allowed to do board books and send them to the US because you have to be certified a certain way. Board books are a little bit of a different animal than other books because they're made for babies, which means there's more likely to end up in their mouths, which means that there can't be any trace of lead inside the ink. The corners actually have to have a little bit of a round to them because otherwise they're getting, if they get them into the eye, you don't poke their eyes out. And so only a few have the certifications from the U.S. government, and also certifications. There's a Disney certification, there's a Random House certification. So there are only a few printers that really have those certifications. And what I typically say to people is the reason we don't have the prices on our website is because I like to take a chance to personally try to talk someone out of a board book before they go ahead and print it. And the reason why is that board books are the fastest, here's the plus for it. Board books are the fastest growing segment of children's books, which are the fastest growing segment of all books. So that's a good thing, right? They're growing exceptionally fast. However, the price to print a board book and the price to ship them, because they're so heavy, is the highest of all the kinds of books. Whether it's softcover, hardcover, board book, the highest to print is board books, and the highest to ship is board books. And the lowest cover price is board books. So you're talking about the highest cover, the highest cost, and the lowest price. Your margin is razor thin. The only way to make money there is is by selling an exceptionally high volume. So unless you have really great distribution in a lot of other retail stores, or a tremendous amount of money behind you to market them, I don't see a profitable path forward for board books. If we aren't a brand yet, how do you get people to find your books on Amazon without ads? Do you do all marketing on social media? Yeah, I mean, I do use ads, but I do a lot of stuff on social media. There are, besides the group that I have on Facebook, there are a lot of other groups, and I find the best thing to do is just be active in them. And when I say be active, I don't mean, I think people do this the wrong way. And I think it's important for some people to take like a sales class. You're not going to sell a lot of books by going into by doing like drive-by shootings and all these groups and posting a picture of your book with a link to Amazon saying, hey, I just published my book, buy it. Okay, you're in a group of 30,000 other people who also publish books. No one cares. What they will care about is if you are a part of that group, if you have a conversation, if you answer questions, if you ask questions, if you ask opinions, if you give your opinions when other people ask them. Make your name known. Let people know who you are. And then little by little, you start to introduce your book and you introduce your characters. It doesn't have to just be the book. Show different cover designs. Show how you created the book. Show one of your favorite spreads. There's a lot of ways to showcase your book without saying buy this book, right? But yeah, you want to do things on social media as much as possible. Instagram is a great resource. Facebook's a great resource. Pinterest is a great resource. Do your marketing on social media, absolutely. Use email lists. Put email lists together and send things out. Try to get teachers on board. Teachers are great conduits to children. One teacher reading a book can read a book to 25 kids, any one of whom may go home and say, Mommy, Daddy, buy me this book. So get teachers on board. You can do that by not only when you print your book, print up lesson plans, so that teachers can use your book as a tool. And the lesson plans are going to have the vocabulary words that are important to go over, discussion points, projects they can do around your book, and make those lesson plans free on your site. And anytime a teacher wants to download it, all they have to do is they give you their contact information. Okay, so that you can reach out to them for author visits. How do you let people know about those? You go on to teacherspayteachers.com and post up all the pages of your lesson plans. Post them up in teachers groups on Facebook. Get teachers on your site. There's a lot of different ways to market outside of just paying for advertising. Okay. Also, where do we register with Amazon as a brand? I believe that is, hold on a second. I was just there earlier. It is brandservices.amazon.com. So brandservices, one word, .amazon.com, and that will allow you to do that. I think you can also do it you can also go to brandregistry.amazon.com. It's just an extra step, but you can do that way also. Hold on a second. Let me get some more questions here. Do you have any issues with printing in China now because of the current situation? If yes, how bad are they? I'm assuming, I'm not sure if you're asking me if you're asking me from a moral standpoint, in which case the answer is no, or if you're asking from a logistical standpoint, in which the answer is no. There are no issues. Printing gets done just fine. We typically, even before COVID, we still always kind of assumed that they weren't sneezing on our books, just because that would be gross, whether it's a virus or not. Even if they did, a virus is not going to exist and going to survive in a closed container for 40 days on the ocean. So I wouldn't worry about that either. And in terms of logistics and issues, if you watch enough CNBC, you'd probably hear about logistical issues in the shipping process coming from China, but they're not really talking about us. They're talking about Gillette that is manufacturing 10 million razors over there. And that is a logistical nightmare. That's much different than printing up a couple thousand books. We can get our books out of China into the US with no problem. We haven't seen any hiccups with that. Laura is saying, I find the more active you are in other people's conversations and their opinions, being more attentive to what others post, and the better the conversation, people want to know more about your thoughts and start asking questions when you initially didn't. Yes, exactly. The better way to sell is through just being part of conversations, making yourself available, making yourself known in these groups. Sell without selling. There are definitely times where you can say, hey guys, super excited, my book just came out. Really excited to introduce it to you. That's better than saying my book just came out, buy my book on Amazon. No one wants that. They want to share in your excitement. Yes, it's all about the presentation. And I think that's a much better way to sell. All right, so I know I went way overboard. It's 9:15 now, so April, I'm sorry that I started to wax poetic on this.
No, no, no. I think this has really been helpful, and I also think that a lot for myself with regard to printing or doing getting profit on books. I feel like there's a time and a place for print on demand, especially if you want to test the market and if you want to and you don't have or don't want to outlay the kind of money that goes into printing those books. There's also Kickstarter that can help you raise the funds so that way your outlay of funds is less, and that can help you with printing your hardcover. So there's lots of different facets to all of this. And
absolutely.
And it's a wild ride, and it's hard work. Anybody that doesn't think that having your own business and creating profit is going to be easy, it's just not. That's just not the case. And I've heard, Jay, that once you start getting more books out there, I think somebody has said like 5 books or more, or a series of books, you'll also start to see, the read through and people buying others of your books because they liked one that they purchased. So I assume that that's another good way of increasing, your profits, is by
absolutely.
Continuing to write more. Don't just stop at your first book, because that's the hardest one to profit on.
I'll give you an example. I printed up, I wrote Test the Tin That Wanted to Rock. And that was my second book in the Rock collection. And, that wasn't one that I was expecting really to blow the roof off of anything, although it's my best reviewed book. But out of 10,000 books over the last 6 months, I've sold 3,000 units. But I've spent maybe $1,000 total on marketing it. I barely spent any money marketing it. And I'm not really going to bother marketing it. I will continue to just let it survive based on the fact that people are finding it because they've read my other books. And so it just kind of found revenue for me. But I also want to point out one other thing. People, we talk a lot about, buying, doing marketing online, especially. And, there are other ways of marketing as well. So here's this, I actually just got this email today. This is the current issue of Publishers Weekly. And this is pretty much all about children's books, this issue. And I love Publishers Weekly. I read it all the time. This is all the new children's books, fall children's announcements. And every page here is different publishers and all the books are coming out with. I mean, we're in an industry where new content is coming out all the time. But people who see this, there are some consumers who see it, but mostly who see it are a lot of store owners, schools, and libraries. And so we took out, this is a half-page ad for, you can see there's New Page Press, that's my publishing company there. So there's the Masterpiece, which is already out, and then coming soon, The Molding of Clay, which is coming out this fall, along with the series and a little bit of a blurb. I have the ISBN numbers for each one. This just came out today. And, I send everyone over to our website. It says distributed by ABG because that's who our distributors. But even if it wasn't, I still send people over to our website and we can fulfill those orders if we need to. But this only cost me $700, and that's not that expensive for a half-page ad in a book that is specifically about children's books. So, there's a lot of other things you can do other than just pay-per-click on Facebook and Google and whatever else.
Right, I agree.
Hey, I have a question.
Sure.
I'm planning on doing a series. We have 12 titles in the series, and I'm going to go print on demand with KDP first. And then once we get going, I'll probably do a bulk order of paperbacks to sell on Seller Central. But what I was wanting to do was include a t-shirt with the book. How does that work as far as like on Amazon? If you have your book up and you have, you know, say a book and a t-shirt,
you can sell it as a package.
Okay, and you can link those to like your book title. That's the print on demand. Okay.
You can. Oh yeah, you can absolutely. You can still link it to your print on demand book as well.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I also see Taryn saying, do you stay with one illustrator for style consistency, or do you use multiple ones? So I stay with one illustrator for a collection of books, and I like to say collection instead of series because technically people use the word series, but use it a little bit incorrectly. A series would be books that have to be read in a certain order. For example, Harry Potter is a series. You wouldn't read number 5 without reading 1 through 4 first. A collection is more like Pete the Cat, where it doesn't make a difference what book you read first. They all make just as much sense in whatever order. So if I have a collection of books, such as my rock books, I use the same illustrator for all those books. I also have a book collection called Patrick Picklebottom, and I use the same illustrator for all those. But then, but those are 2 different illustrators. I choose my illustrators based on the mood of my book, the tone of my book. So for example, the books that I just showed you in this ad, The Masterpiece and The Molding of Clay, that's all done by Luis Perez. And those are books that require a lot of color, a lot of vibrancy. And when I think of things like color and vibrancy, I think of Luis because he's great with those things. One of my books called The Bear and the Fern is a lot moodier. It's a lot sadder, and it required deeper, darker, more thoughtful sort of imagery that's not Lewis's strong point. So I went with a different illustrator named Mary Manning. So I use different illustrators based on different books. And plus, at the same time, I also don't want any illustrator to think that they are my partner. I want them to recognize that they are an important part of what I'm doing, but they are our vendors. So and I think that's important. What was the name of that magazine? So yes, you're correct. Publishers Weekly, and that is just to show you guys again. Sorry, I'm not sure if it's showing up as backwards to you guys, but yes, Publisher Weekly. Publisher Weekly is the center point of the publishing world. So I would definitely check out Publisher Weekly. They've got daily updates they can send you. It's a great publication. What website hosts the publish calculator? So that's iapcbooks.com. iapcbooks.com is the publishing calculator. You can also look, because I think people do compare and contrast. You can also look at printninja.com. They also have a calculator there. There's a competitor of ours. They've been around a little bit longer, but they are definitely more expensive. So you can see that our prices are a lot lower than theirs. And if a situation comes up where our prices are higher, we also will meet their price and subtract 10% from it. How does, oops, hold on a second. How does FBA work for different Amazon regions? That's Jennifer. I'm not 100% sure how they work with US or UK. That I'm not really familiar with. Also, do you need a different Seller Central account for each region? Again, I'm not sure about that, so I can't answer that unfortunately. What are your thoughts on companion books like coloring or activity books to go along with the picture book? So, I think that if you have a good coloring book, I've seen good coloring books make some good money. I actually have some coloring books for Ricky the Rock that I don't even really sell them online. I got a whole bunch of them printed up. The paper is very thin. It's all black and white, so the cost for printing them in China was extremely cheap. And basically, what I use them for is when I went into a school to do a school visit, I'd make sure that every kid walked out with a coloring book, and that way, when they went home to color, they were coloring in Ricky. That makes them want the book a little bit more. And to me, that's a good premium to give away to get the kids to buy the book. Now, unfortunately, with COVID, I'm not doing any live in-person business like that anymore. But I'll find something to do with these coloring books somewhere. But otherwise, I think it's a fine idea. They're not expensive, and it's a good little premium thing to give away or to use to try to make some extra money. I've seen some coloring books make some decent dollars. Mm-hmm. Is this based in USA Magazine or worldwide? I believe Publisher Weekly, yeah. I mean, they're based in the US. I'm not sure if they cover worldwide or not. That's a great question. I've seen information about publishers in other parts of the country. I just don't know if they distribute their magazine to other parts of the world or if other countries actually read it. So that I'm not sure of. But I know they cover publishing in other parts of the world for sure. Since you mentioned you don't recommend paperbacks, is 8.5 by 8.5 hardcover a pretty common size? I think that if you're putting them on Amazon, I think 8.5 by 8.5 is okay. I wouldn't go much lower than that. I've seen 8 by 8s that I think are too small. I personally like 9 by 9s. I actually like 10 by 10s, but 9 by 9s I'm comfortable with. 8.5 by 8.5. I think that's probably the low end of the size you'd want to go with. I wouldn't go much lower than that. What made me change to Mr. J as a pen name? I will give you a really good example of this. This just happened today on Instagram. Some teen Miss Wisconsin or whatever, who has however many ungodly known number of people who follow her. She read she has a Lexi for Literacy campaign, and she goes into schools and she reads books. And she's sitting on this bench. She's got her little sash on and her little tiara and whatever else. And she said, she goes, this week I went to a school for Lexi for Literacy, and I read this book, and she held it up. It was Test the Tin. Test the Tin I Want to Write by J. Miletsky. And she completely butchered my name, which I actually don't really think is that hard to say. And here's a girl who's a teen. By the way, she also didn't read my book because she got the content of it completely wrong. But without regardless, she completely butchered my name. And whenever I've gone to schools, the kids have no idea how to pronounce my name, and teachers have no idea how to pronounce my name. They have introduced me as all sorts of things. And again, my name is not that hard to pronounce. Miletsky, Miletsky, not that difficult. But for some reason, people can't seem to be bothered to actually look at the letters. So it's hard enough for, the reason why I started giving out the coloring books is because, I read my book, Ricky the Rock That Couldn't Roll, and I had one little girl as she's walking out saying, thank you, I'm going to tell my parents to buy Ricky the Roll. Well, it's not Ricky the Roll. And if you look up Ricky the Roll, you're not going to find the book. Because especially knowing that 2 hours from now when you go home, it's going to be Ricky the frickin' Bagel. I mean, who knows what it's going to be, but I can't count on 6-year-olds to remember these things. Mr. J is a lot easier to say, and most of the kids actually have called me Mr. J kind of organically. When I come into school, like, hi, Mr. J. All right, so I'll stick with Mr. J. I know you've done a Kickstarter for some of your books and not for others. What else make a decision? You know what? So I've actually only done it for 2. I did it for a third, and I gave up on it after a week because I actually felt guilty because it was the second book that I was doing, and I felt like I went back to the well too often. So I gave up on that one kind of early. I just wasn't feeling it. There's really no reason not to. This current one that I'm doing, I didn't put a ton of thought into it beforehand. I just kind of did it. And I did it because I had an opportunity to do something with this that I had done with Ricky that people seem to really like. When I did Ricky the Rock That Couldn't Roll, the most popular reward was I allowed people to name a pebble. So give me $35 and you can name a pebble, right? So people name pebbles up to their pets and their kids and whatever else. And they really like that. And I got a lot of really positive feedback. Like, their kids really love seeing their names in the book. And, hey, if I ever do that again, please let them know. And they want to do it again. And this book that I got coming out called Tyrannosaurus Hex and the Unluckiest Day Ever, I suddenly realized, this is an opportunity to do something like that again, where I can have all the dinosaur friends in the back of the book, and you can name a dinosaur after your kids or your pets or your family or whoever else. And so I thought it would just be a fun idea. I don't look at Kickstarter as necessarily a last-ditch effort to raise funds. I mean, for some people, it might be that. I look at it more like it's another sales venue. Just like Amazon, except for instead of buying it after the fact, you're buying it beforehand, and my margins are greater. Let's say someone just wants to buy the book, they're paying me $15 for the book. Okay, well, great, that's $15 that goes into my pocket, as opposed to only making $8 and change on Amazon. So I just find it's much better from a financial standpoint. Some books I'll do it for, some I won't. But the books will always get printed no matter what. But it's just a better way to make additional profit. So do I have a printer in China that I work with the most? So we have 5 different partners in China. 2 of them we work with more often than the others. The other ones are kind of there more as backups. But unfortunately, I can't tell you what those printers are because, we do it through the IAPC, which is the company that I use to work through, help authors print in China. And we spend a good deal of money and time and resources vetting out a lot of different printers to pick out, the 5 that we felt were, the best and most competent printers in China that we can always rely on. So, since we've done all that work, we don't really give out that information. But, the printers that we work with for authors are the same printers that print my books. They also print for Disney and for Random House. So these are extremely high quality printers. Have all my illustrators worked for hire? Yes, they all have. I don't have any of them on a payroll, if that's what you're asking. They all have separate contracts. They all get X amount of dollars as an advance with X% royalties moving forward. So yeah, they're all.
Yeah. So Jay, the work for hire contract template that I put together and share with the author work group is different than a paid royalty contract. So
Okay.
you're paying royalties, not just asking them to do the work and you own the licensing.
Correct.
Right.
So correct. So what I do is I give them an advance on top of a advance against 5% royalties, 4% royalties.
Okay. This has been really great. I know that we've peppered you with a lot of questions, and this, taken up more time than we had anticipated, but I think this has been a great conversation. So I thank you so much for your time, Jay. And will you be able to make that spreadsheet available for folks that are interested in utilizing it?
I'll send it to you, and you can disperse it to whoever you like. I'll send you the PowerPoint.
Okay, wonderful. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, guys. It's a lot of fun, as always.
Great.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you, Jay.
So, a lot of information there.
Information.
So much information.
Can I just ask on that last one while it's still fresh, what does it mean if he gives them an advance? He's paying them something before?
Yeah, so the way that he works out his contracts is different than what I recommend. I recommend doing a work for hire contract, and that's what I share with you guys. Mm-hmm. So you pay your illustrator, and you don't owe them any percentage of your profits afterwards. Mm-hmm. It's just a flat payment. They work and they provide you the artwork, and you own the artwork. With the contracts that Jay uses with his illustrators, he pays them a fee, and so let's say he said $5,000 was the fee for an illustration, for one book. So he gives them that $5,000 and considers it an advance, meaning until he gets to $5,000 back on his books, then no additional royalties are paid to that illustrator. He has to make that $5,000 back first. Then after that $5,000 is made back, then they get 5% of the sales of the book as an additional royalty.
So if on average you're only making 10%, he's essentially then later on down the line making 5% profit after giving.
Well, I think it depends on the way that the contract is stated, because many contracts will say it's after expenses. So you're not necessarily, you're taking out your marketing expenses and things like that and getting to your profit and then paying a percentage of that, I believe. It depends on how it's written up.
So April, now I'm kind of rethinking if I want to do 8.5 or 9 illustrations. If I choose to do 9 by 9, do I have to completely start from scratch with like my illustrator contract? Does that completely change how they do their illustrations?
It changes the size, but I would caution you. Now, everybody that you talk
Sorry.
That's okay. Everybody, different coaches, different people that you work with and experts that you listen to will have differing opinions. And this is one area that Jay and I differ. And so, for example, if you are going to order or create a 9 by 9 size, then and create hardcovers. If you ever decide that you don't want to keep printing your books and going through everything that Jay just talked about as far as shipping, fulfilling yourself, sending books out to Amazon, having them ship books back to you because they didn't sell fast enough. If you don't want to do that and you decide, I'm just going to take it and do print on demand, well, print on demand is 8.5 by 8.5. That's the most that you can do, the biggest size. So while 9 by 9 is a good size, I also feel like it, if you don't create something that, a plan B, or, a paperback in 8.5 by 8.5 for print on demand, then you're missing out on something.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
And the way that, as you saw how little profit that there is when you're creating your first book, there is very little profit. And he didn't factor in much of the advertising cost either. That wasn't even factored into the pricing. So, we've heard from some authors who spend a couple $1,000s on their book just in marketing to kick off their new book. And it's basically to get the book rolling and get the book kicked off, but it's going to leave you in the hole to begin with. So you've got a lot of money that you have to work through, and a lot of momentum that you need to build to start being profitable. And that's why, for myself and others, one of the recommendations that I have is to start with print on demand. So I list my paperbacks at $12.99, and I do adjust the pricing accordingly, but my royalty for my paperback is $4.29. So that's more than what can be made and what he showed us back and forth with all of those other options and printing of hardcovers and all of it's a big production. So I feel like, from my perspective, if I can make $4 a book print on demand, I did not take any dollars out of my pocket for a printer to print things. I don't have to have them stored. I don't have to fulfill them. All of that is done for me. It gives me an opportunity to see if the book has legs and to profit, from the paperback sales, to be able to run some ads and drive sales to it. And if it's okay if I, spend a little bit on ads because I have a little bit to spend there. So I think it's a good opportunity to especially when you're building and you're a new author and you only have one book or a couple of books. It takes time to build the kind of following that Jay has right now that can, make $100,000, dollars in profits over a short period of time.
April, does that $4.29 include any marketing that you put into it?
No, that's just the royalty for the book.
Okay, so you'd have to take your marketing out of that.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So, and like, I can tell you from my own personal experience, when my first book is Puppy Pickup Day, I did what I thought everybody was recommending, which was get a really good illustrator. I spent, this was a Disney illustrator, former Disney illustrator. He created a beautiful book for me. And I ordered a couple thousand copies, and I got them shipped to my home, and tried to sell. Now, I didn't have much of a following. I didn't have a lot of marketing expertise. That has grown over time, my following, the people, so especially because I'm doing these kinds of work groups, I've built an audience and a loyal following of people who I have helped, who are there to help me and share my things as well. I've got an email list that's 6,200, I think now. So now I'm in a much better place, but back then I was not. And my sales, I still have books sitting that I probably should eventually just relaunch my book and do it now with everything I know, do a relaunch. So that, just sharing that frustration of, putting that much money up out front and trying to follow what these experts have been doing for a while, it's just not, it didn't work for me as a new author. And I think it might be a struggle for some new authors as well. And so that's why I think testing the market, making sure your book has legs, that people, how's the market going to accept things? I would have never thought in a million years that Peppa Pig was going to be so big, because it's ugly and it's not illustrated well, and I don't particularly think that the stories are all that great, but they are. They took off, and I've seen some really amazing books published that don't sell very well, and I don't know the rhyme or reason behind it. So you have to kind of test the market. It may take a couple of books before all of a sudden one gets embraced, and wow, this one sold thousands and thousands of copies, and it was probably not even as good, or just as, you have others that are just as good, but it for some reason doesn't take off as well. So anybody else have thoughts about that? I mean, like I said, mine is one opinion. There are others that would give you different. I also look at Mary Nin. If you search for Mary Nin and her books, everything there so far, like with her Ninja series, is all done print on demand. If you look at Lori White. Hi there. What's that?
Sorry, that was my son. I was going to ask about Mary Nim. So I've been following her ever since you mentioned her the other day, but she does have ads, I've noticed. So I'm assuming she just registered as a brand?
Yeah. So if you are doing print on demand, if you have a paperback and you're doing print on demand, you can run ads.
Okay. I was thinking, okay. Yeah.
So I mean, I've seen some advice, and one of the authors that I have helped and coached followed advice saying, don't do an ebook, don't do a paperback. It'll just bleed your hardcover, and people won't, it'll take away the focus of your hardcover. And so she followed a lot of folks like Jay, and was trying to do everything just perfectly. And her book is amazing. And you guys probably have seen this, Wally and the Sweet Mountain Candy Factory. It is an amazing book, gorgeous. But if she's got to sell it through Seller Central and go through all of those things and has no access to ads, because she doesn't have any print on demand, she doesn't have access to those ads that she would get through there either. So what I like to do is link up all the books the way that you see, like if you go on and search for my books, they're all linked up. And even if I have a hardcover out there, like I do with the Puppy Pickup Day, I will still have that linked up to my paperback, and I can use ads on my paperback, and they get driven to the page, and then they see, oh, there's a hardcover option. So if they want hardcover instead, they can get the hardcover. So you don't necessarily lose people that way.
April, just to clarify, so with the Wally book, so even though she's not doing print on demand, if you have like an LLC, then can you access the ad service? Is that right?
You actually have to sign up as a brand, and they used to allow like a workaround so you didn't have to have a trademark. And my understanding is now they don't do that anymore. So you actually have to have a trademark. And let me just go to Amazon brand registry. Let me share my screen, and I'll also go to Mary Nin as well. Let's see.
And I mean, I guess also like I'm planning to do my hardcover, but then eventually do paperback. So if my paperback's on demand, then can you also use ads for your hardcover too?
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, you need to, so if you get your brand registered, and it's not cheap to get a brand registered, because having a trademark, I was speaking to another individual who went through the process. Jonathan Gunson has the bear who wanted to fly, and he mentioned that he trademarked it and registered himself as a brand. And I pinged him and said, how much to trademark? And he said, I think he said it was more than $1,000 or close to $2,000 to trademark something. So it can be expensive. I mean, there are less expensive options, like trying to do the trademark yourself, but it's such a convoluted process, and you could very easily do the wrong thing, or not have it, not follow all the steps, and then lose your copyright and lose all the money that you've invested. So individuals I've spoken to say, don't do it alone. Do it with somebody who has done it before, an attorney that's done trademarks, and you will spend $1,000, maybe $2,000 to get your trademark. Just to be able to do ads, it doesn't seem like it's very wise to me. Or it's going to be a big investment. Maybe that's okay, but I prefer to wait until, or I don't typically advise it until somebody has like a series or something, and then they trademark something with that series so that they can then do brand registry and do other things.
Okay, and you said if you have your hardcover, but then your paperbacks print on demand, you can do the ads for the hardcover also, correct?
No.
No. Okay, just for the paperback then.
Only do ads for your hardcover if you have registered a brand and have been accepted into the AMS ad program.
Okay.
So AMS is Amazon Marketing Services, and it used to be wide open. And I was lucky enough to get in before they closed that registration for that down. So it's become very difficult for authors to be able to do their own ads and be able to benefit from some of the ads that are available. But if I go to Amazon KDP, so I'm just going to open up my KDP here for a second. And if I wanted to, here's my paperback. If I want to promote and advertise, I just go here, promote and advertise. So this is available to everybody that has KDP. Now you can do it for your ebook as well. If you have an ebook but not a paperback, you can still do this. And perhaps it'll drive sales for your hardcover as well. But you choose a marketplace and create the ad campaign. And this is what's available. So you would not have sponsored brands if you're not a brand. You would have sponsored products or sponsored display ads, which don't really work very well. You can experiment with them, but so this is more what you would be focusing on, is sponsored products. And if you guys want, I can show you some of the how to run ads and how to go through your KDP account and set up ads for yourself to drive traffic to your paperback or your ebooks. And it'll give you a good option for that. And I can focus on that with part of our meeting, or maybe make that the topic of Thursday's meeting. We can even do some on Tuesday's drop-in if you guys want.
April?
Yes.
If you're only doing hardback, is one way to go around it just advertising your ebooks only?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Jennifer? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear it all.
Like, I'm only going to be doing hardback, so I'm going to be on Seller Central only.
But no, I don't recommend that.
but I can advertise my ebook maybe.
Yeah, but then you'd have to be on KDP. So you'd still need KDP.
Yes, yes,
your ebook.
yes. So my physical book is going to be on Seller Central only, and my ebook is going to be on KDP. Can I run ads? Would you advertise running ads for my ebook since
Yeah.
I can't run ads for my hardback?
Yes,
Hardcover.
you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So April, I'm wanting to do kind of a series, kind of like a collection of books like Jay was talking about. So if I do print on demand, is there a benefit to me trademarking and registering as a brand, or is that really only beneficial for what he was talking about?
Yeah, it's only beneficial from an Amazon perspective if you want to run ads. So if you're doing things outside of print on demand and you want to run ads, not to mention, not to discount that having a trademark, you may want to trademark your series, or like I have one author who wrote a series, who's writing a series called The Traveling Kittens, and it's really cute series, and it's one book is published, we've got another that she just started, and many more to come. So she might want to trademark The Traveling Kittens because she doesn't want anybody else stealing that. She wants it trademarked as a book, as to be able to use it in her as her website and all of that other stuff. So there are protections and things that are good for trademarking. And speaking with like a trademark attorney, somebody who knows, the ins and outs of trademarking, the benefits, would be really helpful. Because I can't claim to know all of the ins and outs of that. But from the perspective of Amazon only, the benefit of the trademarking and getting that brand registry would be specifically for being able to move forward with ads, the AMS, Amazon Marketing Services.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Is it true that with the trademark, this is what I've heard, that it protects, because I mean, right now you can't copyright titles, but if it's a series and you establish that it's a series, then you go and get the trademark, and then that protects your title to where nobody else can use your title, right? If it's a trademarked title.
Well, if it's a trademarked series name,
Yeah.
Then that makes sense. I don't think you can trademark a title. So
if it came about that was the, like, say, Jay trademarked Ricky the Rock, role, that's his thing. Nobody else could use that and write another book about Ricky the Rock.
Yeah, it sounds right to me, but I have to say my expertise with trademarking is not there. So I wouldn't want to guess. I would recommend maybe doing a little research if that's even something that you want to do for yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was going to plan on once things get rolling. I have another quick question though about Seller Central, and because my plan is to just go and do the KDP, get that rolling, and then once things start rolling, offer things like bundles with a T-shirt that has the title "God Made Me to Be Loving" and the book. Sell it as a set. Can you link that to the KDP book that I will be advertising? Can I link it in that page? When you come up to my book, you'll be able to see that I offer, a set of, kind of like Diane with her stuffed animal and her book.
Yeah. So what I would do in that case is I would pull up. Let me just pull up.
That's
Let me
right.
pull up my book here. And one of the things that I've done to kind of link things together is on my page, on my listing page, I focus on other items that I sell, and Jay does a good job of that as well. And this is AMS. This is called AMS. A+ content.
Okay.
And so it appears as a from the publisher. and
Okay.
you can highlight different things. It's kind of like a mini web page that you can put there. If you're interested in getting help doing that.
Yeah.
You actually can't do it yourself. You have to find somebody who has an Advantage account to do it for you. And luckily I do have that. So I've been able to offer that service.
I was definitely with you when you had said that before, that that's what I wanted to have. So, okay.
Excuse me. And so let me also pull up, I'm going to go to Amazon and pull up Mary Nin Ninja Book Series set. Oh. So you can see all of these ninja books. This is all print on demand. And Mary shares, if you are looking to follow someone, excuse me, I'm just going to go to her paperback. So the prices for her paperback are lower than what I typically set mine up initially at. Maybe I should look to adjust that. But this, look at how many books she has in this series. And she makes a ton of money on her books. It's all print on demand. She shares her numbers, and she has a community called, it's a Facebook group called, I think, Grit Community.
Yeah, Gritty Entrepreneur or something.
Yeah, the Gritty Community, where she shares, excuse me, she shares, I'll put this link, but she shares her experience and answers questions. She also has a Patreon page, and she does consulting as well. But she is somebody that I have followed for a while because she's done so well, and she shares a lot of her experience and advises others in this Facebook group. So I would say, if you are not a member, go ahead and join that. And if you are looking for advice from somebody who is, making a really good profit on print on demand, I think it would be really helpful to talk with Mary, or, spend an hour and listen in about, with a consulting appointment with her, to get a little more information for your specific book or your specific situation. Maybe I'll even see if I can bring her back for a discussion, so that, and she can talk specifically about print on demand and how that has worked for her, or how she has made it into something that has provided her with much more than that 10% profit, I think, that Jay is mentioning. Any other questions?
April, we're not scheduled for anything tomorrow, are we? The thing that got rescheduled from last time that you were going to do?
Oh, I did. That was yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, hello. Okay.
So I did it yesterday. I don't think I did a very good job at promoting it. I only had a few people in attendance, and maybe a handful of people that were registered that will get links. So I'm thinking about maybe doing repeating that, and see if I can do a better job of driving people to that meeting.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
It'll be available for replay as well. I didn't include it with the regular work group. I tried to use it as an opportunity to raise a little bit of money for the scholarships that I do for the author work groups. This one specifically, I think I had 3 that I sponsored in the work group, so that they were able to attend, even though their financial circumstances weren't, they weren't able to attend otherwise. So I try to do that with each work group. I try to pick 2, and I try to raise the funds for that, so that I can support authors who wouldn't be able to attend otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So for that meeting, I did a charge of $20 for the meeting. And like I said, I didn't do a very good job promoting it. So I'm looking to maybe see if I can rerun it or see if anybody wants to watch the replay. The topic was the 10 biggest mistakes that self-published authors make. And that, and I went through all of the mistakes and the ways that, you know, the different things within our work group can, you know, help. So the advice of what to do instead of some of those top 10 mistakes that I see and I've seen with many of the authors that I've coached. So hopefully that they can be avoided for new and aspiring authors.
Okay, thank you.
So Marie, you said you can run numbers for Amazon advertisement in respect to clicks versus expenses versus purchasing stats for a 36-page paperback. So Marie, are you still with us? Let me see. So Marie's saying that she's done a lot of advertising and, you know, is somebody that can help others if you're interested. Oh, hold on. She's saying I have to unmute her. I can't seem to unmute you, Marie. You'll have to unmute. You'll have to click on your mute button and or unmute. There you go. Unmute yourself. There you go. Hi, Marie.
Well, April knows I hate to speak because I have an accent and usually hide. If anybody will not understand what I'm saying, please let me know.
No, you're fine. Your English is perfectly fine. You seem a little low. That's all.
Is it better?
Yes.
Okay, so print on demand advertisement is actually ridiculously expensive. So I just wanted to give real numbers of what I'm experiencing.
Okay.
Yeah, so my book gives me $2.94 of actual profit because I do print on demand. It takes 70, I believe, % for the or 60% for Amazon platform and 365 for the book print.
Mm-hmm.
So after Amazon will take, but I am eligible for Prime, so I don't pay anything for shipping.
Right.
So $2.94 is a clear profit on every book sold. However, in respect to advertisement, you pay per click. What does it mean? It means when you place your book on Amazon, there are millions of other books, and April knows really well about keywords and everything, but let's assume you want to put your book real high right away. So you choose keyword and you want to pay for it. My keywords are expensive because it's caterpillar, butterfly, it is very expensive keywords. Very expensive, on average, $1 plus minus per click. What does it mean per click? So somebody does the search, let's say caterpillar life cycle or butterfly life cycle. And I paid for caterpillar, for butterfly, for life cycle, for a bunch of them. One of them will trigger the book to appear, and initially I paid quite a bit, a little bit more than suggested on the list. So book would appear as #1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so my average price per click is about $1. It's ridiculously expensive. I know that now. I
Yeah.
made a lot of mistakes, like I said.
Yeah, and
It's,
I would definitely, when we meet on Thursday, and I can do some more of this on Tuesday, drop in if you want. But there are tricks to making sure that you have really good keywords, that you
no,
have.
I understand that, and you teaching that. I am just running pure stats right now. So my point was, when somebody run the keyword,
Mhm.
if your book appears on a page among other books, it calls impression. You don't pay for that.
Right.
You only pay when somebody actually clicks on your book.
Right.
Then you pay right there and then. And what is the most difficult, it is statistics, how many clicks it takes for somebody to buy your book.
Right.
If, let's say, every fifth person who clicks on your book and look around buys your book, it's not a bad statistics. To the best of my observations, it's more like it takes about 15 to 1. Really good stats, less than 10. Less than 10 people look at your book.
Mhm.
But if you see what I just said, my book gives me profit of $2.94. So for me to even break even,
Mhm.
it has to be every third person to
Yeah.
buy my book.
And
I don't know statistics like that. I don't think anybody has statistics like
Yeah.
that.
Well, if you end up, you certainly don't want to be running the clicks, paying for clicks over a
For
dollar.
everything, yes.
Yeah, it's way too expensive, and that will cause you a lot of issues. The other thing, and I'll go over this more when we meet, is the if you're getting a lot of clicks and people aren't purchasing, then there's some different things that we can do to adjust that. But typically that means your cover is attractive enough to get a click, but when they get to your description, you've lost them.
My description is stinks. As I said, I made a lot of mistakes. I just wanted, the reason why I said I can say something, it's because I needed people to know what exactly will happen.
Right.
And how it looks like from math perspective.
Yeah.
So you absolutely want to increase number of clicks in respect to number of impressions, but you still have to keep your purchasing power, if you will, number of people who actually buy the book,
right,
out of those who actually looked at it, very high.
Yeah.
So,
and also lowering the price that you spend for your
per click, yes, I know mine are ridiculous. Don't even listen to me about that. It was just an example.
Yeah. And having long tail keywords instead of short tail keywords. So for example, the word caterpillar as a keyword is way too small. So having a keyword phrase that is a longer tail phrase, that will be more targeted, and you'll end up getting, like something like caterpillar books for kids ages 4 to 7.
Yeah, I have over 300 different keywords, but for some reason, the most active ones are butterfly life cycle, and not even caterpillar. Yeah, but again, keep in mind, first thing, I made every possible mistake. I literally wrote the book just because it fell on a page.
It sounds like you're learning a lot from it.
From you, absolutely. You have no idea what well you are for me. Jay
So
too, I'm in his group.
when we get together on Tuesday, maybe we should do some examples and try to find some.
Well, I'm just trying not to take
yeah.
anybody's time because however badly I'm doing, my book is alive and it seems to be gaining some traction. But some people, they are pre-launch, they may need you more than I do.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your experience. I appreciate it. We'll
Yeah,
spend.
no, as I said, I just wanted to simply to tell people statistically how it is on advertisement side, because it was very good what Jay said, but it's if you make only $1.15 of the book, and you have to pay for advertisement,
yeah, you
are so
actually,
deep in debt, it's not even funny, because even with $3, it's not nowhere.
Yep, there's a lot that goes into getting the
Marketing is a separate science. I'm not even remotely pretend to know much about it.
Thank you, Maria.
Only math.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? I know it's after 10 and usually I'm here till 10, but if you guys want to stay a little longer, that's okay.
Well, I guess I'm just wondering, because I haven't done this yet, but we should have been booking another one-on-one with you, is that right? Like before we finish this class?
Yeah, so normally I recommend that people at the beginning of the class book a one-on-one with me, and then halfway through, and then at the end. So if you haven't done that, grab some time on my calendar, and I'll put the link here.
Okay, great.
So that you guys can grab time, Calendly. And when you go to this calendar, just choose the free coaching for work group participants, and it won't charge you anything for that.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Hi, Rachel. I see you're off of mute. Did you have a question?
I did. I've lost you though. I can't see the screen. I don't know what I've done. But anyway, I was just wondering, my sort of idea all along has been to do paperbacks through KDP and hardcover through Ingram Spark. Is that something that's sort of a sound plan, or are there problems with that?
So Ingram Spark is a print on demand, so you don't have to, pay $5,000 to have your books printed. However, they do, when you figure out the price of what you'll make per book, it's very low for hardcovers. I think it's like $1 or $2, because it is so expensive to print hardcovers, and they charge a lot to do it. So it's okay. I like having a hardcover, and I might go ahead and print them for myself. Like I'll order an author copy, or add the hardcover print on demand to see, kind of test the market and see what kind of demand is there for hardcover books. Because if I'm just going to make $1 a book or $2 a book, that's okay. But if I start seeing, wow, I sold 40 hardcovers in a week, that there's more of a demand for hardcovers on this particular book, I should go and do a print run. So I kind of use it as a way of testing the market. I think for the types of books you're creating, though, I think a soft cover with this is a soft cover, and it's really it's hard, shiny on the thing, and has some great colors and interior colors. So you can do a good job with paperbacks. I don't know whether your audience really is going to demand a hardcover, but what a great opportunity for you to survey your audience and find out, because you have a great following.
Okay. All right. Well, that's sort of my plan, because I just don't think that going to the post office all the time is going to work for me in the way that my life is. I just don't see how I can find the time to do that.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of print on demand. And like I said, you'll start to see a lot more profit from your books the more books you create. So keep working, keep doing what you're doing, make good decisions, avoid some of the big pitfalls and landmines, and it will get better. The first book will probably be the one that will take the longest to get your money back. But the more you do, people will buy that second book and third book, and they're going to want to go back and say, oh, I want to get the other two that she made. So you tend to get the economy of scale really works to your advantage.
All right, and is there any way you can drop the link in the group for registering for the next course? Because I definitely want to be in that.
Yes, I will do that right now. Let's see. Author work group. When you click on the button, use the code SPMS ALUMNI alumni. If you use that, it'll give you 50% off.
Okay, writing that down. Thank you so much, April.
And I'll post it in our Facebook group as well.
Oh, perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, guys. It sounds like things are kind of settling down. If there's no other questions, then I'll let you all go, and we'll check in again on Tuesday.
Thanks, April.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for your time, April.
So much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, April.